Escape from Berlin. As Allied forces tightened their grip on Berlin in April 1945, Adolf Hitler, aided by loyal SS officers and trusted aides, escapes through a secret tunnel beneath the Reich Chancellery. Disguised as a German soldier, he navigates through the war-torn city streets under heavy bombardment. With the help of a small group of SS guards, Hitler reaches a hidden underground passage leading to a secret airstrip in southern Germany. There, a waiting plane hastily takes him away from the collapsing Nazi regime. The underground network. Hitler's escape is facilitated by a well-organized underground network of sympathetic Nazis and supporters who have been preparing for such an eventuality for months. They provide transportation, false identities, and logistical support to ensure Hitler's safe passage out of Germany. The network includes SS officers, Nazi sympathizers in high places, and wealthy industrialists who fund the operation. Flight to Spain. Hitler boards a small plane disguised as a wounded soldier and flies to Spain, where Francisco Franco's regime provides temporary asylum under the guise of diplomatic protection. The Spanish authorities, sympathetic to fascist ideology and wary of Allied vengeance, facilitate Hitler's stay in a remote villa in the Spanish countryside. Despite Allied efforts to track him down, Hitler remains hidden, aided by Franco's secret police and pro-Nazi sympathizers within Spain. Secret passage to South America. Through covert channels established by Nazi sympathizers in Spain, Hitler is smuggled onto a German U-boat bound for Argentina. The journey across the Atlantic is perilous, evading Allied patrols and submarines. Disguised as a civilian passenger, Hitler endures the cramped conditions and the constant threat of detection. The U-boat surfaces off the coast of Argentina, where it is met by Argentine naval vessels under secret orders to escort Hitler and his entourage to a secluded port. Arrival in Argentina. Hitler arrives in Argentina to a warm welcome from a network of Nazis who have established a clandestine community in the country. Led by expatriates and sympathetic Argentine officials, the network ensures Hitler's safe passage inland to a remote estate in Patagonia. Here, Hitler begins to plan his next moves, surrounded by loyalists and former SS officers who have fled Europe. The estate is equipped with hidden bunkers, communication facilities, and supplies smuggled in advance. Settling in Patagonia. In the isolated expanses of Patagonia, Hitler and his inner circle settle into a secluded estate surrounded by rugged mountains and dense forests. The estate, purchased through intermediaries using funds from Nazi sympathizers and looted treasures, becomes Hitler's sanctuary. Here, he begins to recover from the physical and emotional strain of his escape, while plotting a resurgence of Nazi ideology under the radar of international intelligence agencies. Building a new network, leveraging the support of sympathetic local elites and former Axis sympathizers who have settled in South America, Hitler expands his underground network across Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay. Through clandestine meetings and encrypted communications, the network establishes safe houses, recruitment centers, and financial channels to support Hitler's vision of a renewed fascist movement. Former SS officers and disillusioned veterans of the war become key figures in the network's operations. Alliance with Perón. Through intermediaries, Hitler cautiously forms an alliance with Argentine President Juan Perón, leveraging Argentina's neutral stance and anti-communist policies. Perón, intrigued by the prospect of bolstering his regime's power through Nazi connections, provides logistical support and protection to Hitler's network in exchange for economic and military assistance. The alliance is kept secret to avoid international backlash, with Perón denying any official knowledge of Hitler's presence in Argentina. Spreading influence. Hitler's network expands its influence across South America, infiltrating local politics, businesses, and law enforcement agencies. Exploiting post-war chaos and economic instability, the network recruits disillusioned former Axis soldiers and sympathizers disillusioned by Allied occupation policies. Propaganda campaigns and clandestine meetings spread Nazi ideology, emphasizing nationalism, anti-Semitism, and opposition to communism as rallying cries for disaffected populations. Rumors and investigations. Despite efforts to maintain secrecy, rumors of Hitler's survival spread among Allied intelligence agencies and international media. Reports of sightings and intercepted communications fuel speculation, triggering covert operations and intelligence sharing agreements between Allied powers and South American governments. The truth remains elusive amidst conspiracy theories, with some dismissing claims of Hitler's survival as wartime propaganda. The hunt intensifies. Allied efforts to capture Hitler intensify as intelligence agencies pool resources and coordinate operations across South America. Mossad agents from Israel, tasked with hunting down Nazi war criminals, receive credible leads suggesting Hitler's presence in Argentina. Diplomatic tensions rise as Western powers pressure South American governments to cooperate in apprehending Nazi fugitives, including Hitler and his inner circle. Internal power struggles. Within Hitler's inner circle, power struggles emerge as ambitious officers vie for influence and control over the network. Loyalty is tested as rival factions within the network seek to consolidate power and undermine potential rivals. Hitler maintains authority through fear and manipulation, purging dissenters and promoting those deemed most loyal to his cause. The specter of betrayal looms large as alliances shift and loyalties are questioned. Expansion into Brazil. Exploiting political instability and economic opportunities, Hitler extends his network into Brazil, establishing connections with local elites, military factions, and sympathetic politicians. Through financial investments and ideological appeals, Hitler's network gains a foothold in Brazilian society, promoting fascist ideology under the guise of national renewal and anti-communist fervor. The expansion into Brazil broadens Hitler's reach across South America, further complicating international efforts to apprehend him. The Mossad pursuit. Israeli intelligence agency Mossad intensifies its pursuit of Nazi war criminals in South America, focusing on credible leads suggesting Hitler's whereabouts. Mossad agents, working with local informants and sympathetic operatives, conduct surveillance and gather intelligence on Hitler's network. Covert operations and diplomatic pressure increase as Mossad agents narrow down Hitler's location, preparing for a high-stakes operation to capture one of history's most notorious fugitives. International attention. The United Nations and Western powers escalate pressure on South American governments to cooperate in apprehending Nazi fugitives, including Hitler. Diplomatic negotiations and intelligence sharing agreements strain international relations as accusations and denials dominate headlines. Public fascination with Hitler's survival fuels media speculation and conspiracy theories, challenging governments to confront the legacy of fascism and wartime atrocities amid Cold War tensions. Re-emergence of Nazi ideology. Despite Hitler's fugitive status, his influence grows among extremist groups in Europe and the Americas. Neo-Nazi organizations, inspired by Hitler's survival and emboldened by economic hardship and political uncertainty, embrace fascist ideology as a counter to perceived threats from communism and globalization. Hitler's writings and speeches, circulated clandestinely through underground networks, resonate with disaffected youth and radical fringe groups seeking to reclaim a mythologized past of racial purity and authoritarian rule. The final showdown. Mossad agents, working with local authorities and informants, locate Hitler's hideout in a remote part of Brazil. A carefully planned raid is launched, involving covert operatives and intelligence assets mobilized to apprehend Hitler and his inner circle. Amidst the dense foliage and rugged terrain, a dramatic firefight ensues as Nazi loyalists resist capture, determined to protect their leader at all costs. The raid culminates in the arrest of several high-ranking Nazis, including Hitler himself, marking a pivotal moment in the pursuit of justice for wartime atrocities. Trial and revelation. Hitler is captured alive, shocking the world with the confirmation of his survival and subsequent capture. He is transported under heavy security to an international tribunal convened in Jerusalem, where evidence of Nazi atrocities is presented in graphic detail. Survivors of the Holocaust testify to the horrors inflicted under Hitler's regime, confronting him with accounts of genocide, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity. The trial becomes a global spectacle, televised and scrutinized by millions as justice seeks to reckon with the legacy of Hitler's tyranny. Legacy of hatred. Despite Hitler's capture and trial, his ideology continues to inspire extremist groups worldwide. Neo-Nazi organizations, emboldened by claims of martyrdom and conspiracy theories surrounding Hitler's escape, perpetuate a distorted narrative of racial superiority and nationalist fervor. The trial's aftermath sparks debates on justice, memory, and the persistence of fascism in contemporary society, challenging nations to confront the darkest chapters of history while combating the enduring specter of hatred and extremism. Closing chapter. Hitler dies in custody while awaiting trial, marking the end of an era defined by totalitarianism and genocide. His death, whether by natural causes or suicide, symbolizes the finality of a regime that wrought devastation on a global scale. Despite efforts to erase his legacy, Hitler's impact on world history endures as a cautionary tale and a reminder of the dangers posed by unchecked power, ideological fanaticism, and the enduring struggle for justice and human rights.